I'm not allowed. Yeah.
I was going to say, can't you not record people legally unless there's like permission granted?
Yeah, or something like that. So, well, and plus, paparazzi and all, so, So the question, our question was, so as a teenager, right, assuming that you're able-bodied, should you or do you have the responsibility to work as a teen? So good question. Yeah, go quickly. Okay, so what is your thoughts? What do you think?
I feel like we're already working anyway because we're in school, so this is basically our job, but we're not getting money, we're getting knowledge. So
we're getting knowledge to make them.
That is such like an answer you would give your parents. No, I do not need a job because I have a job already. And I work very hard. Yeah. And I get paid in knowledge.
But it's like we're getting the knowledge
to make the money right later on. What are your thoughts? Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think like you have a responsibility to vote, but like you're an adult, you're a full-fledged member of society, and so I think working kind of applies to that. Like once you're a full-fledged member of society, and you're responsible for your own person, because right now, like our parents are responsible for us.
That's a good point.
We can't really make our own choices. So
exactly. Even when it comes to transportation, sometimes So that's one view, and that's an excellent point actually. Yes. What else?
I think it's situational because, like, for me, it's just me and my mom, so I have to work. So it's like completely situational.
I concur.
Like, if you don't have to, then I really don't think you have to. You get what I'm saying?
I think you're right. I really like your situational analysis. I think I think that's kind of what you were alluding to about it. I know that there are some people who very strongly believe all teenagers absolutely should work because it teaches you the value of a dollar. It teaches you responsibility. It teaches, it does. You do learn a lot of things by working. But I agree. I think sometimes situational may determine whether or not it's feasible, right? Yeah, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, because, like, my dad's really big on, like, working and, like,
oh, yeah.
And stuff. Like, he's very big on that. And I'm just, like, I work myself, so, like, I've kind of seen, like, it is important to work, or I can't do certain things, Even though, like, I'm already privileged, like, by going to, like, a really good school and stuff.
Sure.
It's still good to work because it starts to form your imagination and, like, your way of thinking and how to work with people and how to, like, customer service, like, all that kind of stuff, which is really primarily what you're going to use when you're older. Like,
when you're getting older.
Yeah, like, you can forget about academics and all that stuff. Like, you just need to be able to be intellectual and, like, be able to speak to people, you know what I mean? And if you develop that as a young age, then you can...
And working can do that for you. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, she's like, me. Yes.
Okay, so I agree with what everyone's saying because, like, I've worked as well and I have not worked. I think...
Both?
Yeah, I've done both, and I think as a teenager, if you want to do that to better yourself for the future, then you could do that, but technically as a teenager, you don't have an obligation. And even if you don't work as a teenager and you don't better those skills, like, you're obviously going to learn that by talking to your teachers and, like,
hopefully
being in class and getting the knowledge. So when you move up to college and, like, you actually start using your knowledge to gain the money, then, like, you'll be able to do that. So obviously it's a benefit, like, as our age, there's a bunch of different things that can benefit us and improve and help our future, but technically it's not an obligation.
Well, or it's, of course, there's many places in the world where children are forced to work, and it's certainly not by choice and not because that's the best option for them or because it's going to be character enhancing. It's they live in grinding poverty and have absolutely no choice. So that, yeah, I agree. That's a completely different situation. But can it be character building? Yeah, absolutely, right? So obviously, if you are able, you should work. What about for on a parish or a diocese level, how could we put this into action? That you have a right and a duty to work. Can you think of like a policy or a program that we could have at the diocese or parish level that might apply to that? I don't know. Mary Catherine, what can you think of?
Like, I know like at St. Vincent de Paul, they have programs for like homeless men and women that sort of segues them into getting a job for themselves. So like if parishes did something like that.
That's an excellent idea. That whole idea of a hand up instead of a hand out. And that's really what the heart of St. Vincent de Paul is about, providing them transitional opportunities. That's a great example, Mary Catherine. Okay, what about, I'm going to skip this one, the ability to participate in the economy. Well, this actually comes down to if we want to get really philosophical, the ability to participate in the economy, this is the reason that the Catholic Church supports democracies and supports free markets. Why would, given what you understand about Catholic social teaching so far, okay, on economic policy and economic justice, why would the church favor democracy and free markets over other types of systems? Why would that make sense in keeping with Catholic social teaching? But it's a tough question, yeah.
Well, democracy allows for everyone to have a say and have a choice, regardless of economic status.
Precisely. That ideally, in a democracy, how much money you have doesn't determine how important your voice is. Is that the way the United States works realistically right now? That's a whole nother semester class, actually. But ideally, yes, you have the ability to participate. What about the idea of a free market? What is a free market? When we talk about free markets, this I know you're going to see again. Yes.
Isn't it though when you can trade with other countries without like really strict,
Like tariffs and penalties?
Yeah.
That's a huge part of it. In a free market, businesses are free to set their own prices. There's not a ton of regulation. It allows for a lot of entrepreneurship. I'm gonna put that over here. Okay, this is really gonna test my spelling skills. Entrepreneurship. Are there too many vowels there?
No, that's right.
Does that look right? Okay.
but free markets, those are national, right? Those aren't like international.
Of course, each nation has its own economy, but when we talk about free markets, there is an international component to it. But within our own country, certainly, we have a free market. And part of your homework, it was in the Living Justice book, I hope we get to it. There were questions that were kind of comparing the Catholic perspective on communism versus the Catholic perspective on capitalism. And really that there's arguments to be made on both sides, right? What about this whole idea of putting moral principles before all? How would that control our individual choices? If moral standards and moral decisions are affecting the way that we look at money, how might that affect you as an individual or the decisions that you make as an individual? If your morality comes before money, what are some things that you might do if you put morality before money? And I know it's hard because, like you said, a lot of you are like, well, we don't have jobs yet. We're not really participating in the economy yet. But maybe projecting ahead a few years to when you are going to be, hopefully, a productive member. Not that you're not now. But I'm talking about, working, paying taxes. How would putting moral principles ahead of money affect things, your lifestyle, or the choices you make, or the things that you do? Yes.
Yeah, for example, Mr. Krishnan had told us if we actually look at buying fair trade products.
Oh, thank you.
We would reduce human labor and people that are being abused of those picking fruits or everything for nothing. They don't pay them or anything. So we're actually reducing that their income. So we would better our society so they don't.
Absolutely. So making a concerted effort to seek out and buy things that are fair trade, absolutely. What are some other, moral choices that we might make about money if we are guided by Catholic social teaching? Where might our priorities be?
You're going to fund organizations and stuff like that you value, that, I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That charitable giving is not something that you're going to be like, well, maybe. No, it'll be a priority to you. Tithing, does everybody know what tithing means? Where 10% of your income is donated to the church, right off the top. So you make that sacrifice a priority in your life because your morals come above your money. Are there any other ways that you might be affected individually in your lifestyle and your choices? Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like you could
it could like limit certain things you have, because like depending on what you're buying, like say for example you buy fair trade things, or even if you donate money to charity or stuff, like fair trade stuff costs more money.
Of course.
Like, you know,
Of course.
you're paying for that, and also too, like if you donate money to charity, like you're like losing a big.
That's less money that your family has,
Yeah.
right?
So that means instead of like buying something designer per se, you could go to like Ross and Kohl's and.
So how might that affect your lifestyle, Julia?
So I mean, it wouldn't make it worse. It would just like make it less luxurious per se.
I think maybe conscious consumption.
Yeah.
You know, making conscious choices, right? How many of you guys have seen The Story of Stuff? I know they show it sometimes in AP Environmental Science, kind of about the production pipeline in the United States and how it's designed to make us overconsume. We might have time for it next week. I will forewarn you, it's thoroughly depressing, but equally enlightening. So there's that. And okay, so on the parish or the diocese level, how might let's take a look at this. On the parish or the diocese level, if we're putting people ahead of money, how might that affect us on a parish level or on a diocese level? What do you think?
What mass you collect money and give the money to?
Right? Every week. And obviously, how many of you guys at your parish, I honest to goodness, I think every week we have a second collection. Or it feels like it, right? Can you think of some of the things that we've taken up a second collection for? Yes.
More for the praying priests, preacher, priests, and yeah.
So priests and religious. There's always like the Lenten appeal, then the Advent appeals.
Or restoring the church.
Taking care of our facilities. That is a tough argument, though, and I've had a lot of non-Catholic friends ask me, how does your diocese or your church justify spending so much money on churches when they could be spending that money to feed poor people? How would you answer that if someone asked you? What would you answer? Oh, yeah.
Well, you're investing money into the church, and eventually you're gonna make enough profit off of that to give out a little more.
That the church itself is an investment?
Yeah.
You're right. That's true. What else, Julia?
I would also say that, I guess like when you're talking to people and everything, like you get the word out, like you need to help people. But I feel like the church is the main, I don't know what it's called, the main voice of letting people know what's wrong and and then helping like fix the issues. So without building the churches, then people wouldn't even know what was going on, and then like literally no one would be helped because no one would be aware. So I think like the churches are what makes everyone aware, so that money can be donated.
Creates awareness. And that sort of money attracts money.
So like you need to spend money to make money.
Even in the case of charitable giving in the church. Van Wee, what were you going to say?
Kind of the same thing, just like we need to build a community first in order to have everyone go out and help.
Did you guys hear what she just said? That was so awesome. Say it again.
We need to build a community.
Yes, you have to build a community first. I'm going to just You have to build a community first. And I know, especially coming from a non-Catholic background, I would just get so confused. I'd be like, so wait, like they have the church, and then they have the hall, and then they have the building where they do all the religious education, and I was like, my gosh, like how much stuff do you need? This, but you're right. The purpose of it is to create community. And then from the community, like Julia was saying, from there we can do the outreach, right? Yes, what else?
Well, this is kind of specific, but like if you put money into your church, then your church has more money to put into programs, say for youth. And the more youth that learn about things that are taught in the youth program, more people are going to go out and become adults who are aware already.
Hallelujah. We just had a thing at my church, I don't know, 2 months ago. For some reason, I couldn't go that day, but my teen daughter went. And I know this is shocking, but she's a little outspoken. Yeah, I know. And she spoke very strongly about the need for our church to build up our youth and young adult program. Why? for the exact reason that you said. Because if we do want to continue outreach, if we do want to continue concern for the least of these, who do we want to like latch our hooks into now? The young people. Your generation is one of the most charitable generations in American history.
Yeah, I see that.
Honest to goodness. And most service oriented. That's why it drives me crazy when you hear people speaking poorly about young people and especially about teenagers. It's like, have you met the teenagers that I've met? Clearly you haven't, right? So I absolutely agree. I think I told you out in front of my church, it does not say, I know I've said this, right? It doesn't say St. Gregory the Great Catholic Church. It says St. Gregory the Great Catholic Community. I love that because it's not just where I go on Sunday. That's my family. Those are my people. So yeah, I love that idea of building community. How much time do we have? Oh, what time? We have 20 more minutes?
Yeah.
Jeez, oh, Pete. Okay, you know what? Let's pause this.